And we're live.
Episode 3, baby.
Episode 3.
Yeah. 2 on YouTube, but this is
Yeah,
technically formally
episode 3.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Episode 1 was just very, very long. We're definitely going to release it in parts.
Yeah.
It's going to be one of those things. Eventually you guys are going to want to see what was the first episode like, and we're gonna make a premiere out of it. Yeah.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Quarantiners. The Quarantiners.
Yep.
With Darko, Cankerous,
Yep.
Goddess.
And Ben Patton.
That's right.
Yeah.
There you go.
The Curious Case of Benjamin Patton. Right?
Curious case. That's right. I get younger as I get older, and nobody knows why.
Nice.
Yeah.
Dude, you must be like 80, 90 right now.
I just turned 90. It's a great guess. Yep. Yeah. So how are things, Darko? What's on your mind, man? What's grinding your gears?
You know what? What's on your mind tonight? Let's see. Let's start with you.
With me,
I'm interested.
I got my computer making noise too. What's on my mind? I don't know, man. A lot of things going on. Romanian people, you can't trust them. They're crazy.
Yeah, man.
Nah, I'm kidding. Let's see. I think, is there a war going on in Bosnia right now?
In Bosnia? No.
Yeah.
No.
I talked to somebody from Bosnia today, one of my clients, and they brought up war in Bosnia. I was
really?
like, what? That's what she said. I didn't know if I believed her or not. I thought maybe she was just kind of joking around.
That happened a long time ago. Yeah, but luckily it's behind us. You can still see the bullet holes though. Yeah, it's not a fun sight. It's yeah. There is Sarajevo was hit pretty hard, and yeah, I've heard some crazy stories from people, like how they went through some tough stuff, man. Yeah, what this other army did, and I'm not going to name any armies or anyone right now. I don't like to get into politics, and I don't want to talk about it that much, but people are animals, especially when it comes to war. And it was a situation, where everything went to shit very quickly. You wouldn't expect it. Like, what if we right now decide that South Carolina is terrible, let's kill those people, and then I don't know, Georgia joins on South Carolina's side, and then it's just crazy.
It is madness.
But that's of course not what it happened. There's a lot more complicated. A lot of different things happened over there. But essentially, it was one country, and there was just a civil war that was terrible. And yeah, Sarajevo was hit pretty hard, and Bosnia used to be a melting pot because you had all different religions. You had an Orthodox Christian house living next to the Catholic Christian house, next to the Muslim house. They were all living in harmony, and all of a sudden just war broke out, and everyone split, and it was partly like nationalistic war, partly religious war, partly it was not a fun situation. Luckily, right now it's better.
Good.
But in Montenegro tried to stay as peaceful as possible, which is great. And we are hopefully this coronavirus stops, because it's about to hit Montenegro pretty hard, because summer season is our touristy season, and it's not gonna look good.
Let's visit the numbers again today.
Yeah, let's see.
On the coronavirus. Well, right now, you know what? Italy, they might have already, but I think they seemingly passed us in number of deaths for coronavirus. They have 18,000, and we have Yeah, they passed us yesterday, it looks like. And we have 16,600. So they are now somewhere in the ballpark of about 1,600 more deaths than us. But we, possibly because we tested more, we have almost 3 times as many cases as they do.
Well, we are catching up to them, I think, at this point, because they were. But that's right. Like we don't know how is this gonna end, because there's still a lot of active cases, and there's a lot of there's a lot of variables to look at. Like, for example, how many critical cases are there versus people who are not in a critical stage or not even hospitalized. So that's another metric to look at there. And yeah, it's let's see.
Yeah, here's Montenegro's number.
Yeah, man. We were
So, dude,
the
you only
last
have
country.
2 deaths. That's crazy.
We were the last country in Europe to get a case. But you see that column all the way to the right, tests per 1 million.
Yeah.
So we have a pretty high number of tests there.
Yeah.
If you compare to some other countries.
Yeah. I mean, that might be some of that has to do with the fact that you only have 600,000 people. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's still an amazing
Yeah.
testimony. I mean, 2 people, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So your mom and dad probably aren't really like super panicking at the moment, just because it's like.
I mean, people are way more serious about this stuff over there. Like, people are not getting outside of the house, and there's more people in jail than cases in Montenegro in jail because they weren't following the rules, which is So, and the rules are simple: just don't get in a situation where you can infect other people. But yeah. Anyway, so I know that you wanted to talk 5G.
Yeah, I mean that's a topic I'm interested in,
Yeah.
that I can't necessarily speak from any level of expertise on, but
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I learned yesterday, right? When somebody says 5G, are you aware of like necessarily what that means?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know 5G was a spectrum.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can see this or not.
Yep, I can.
All right. So 5G territory, 25 to 86 gigahertz, right?
Mm-hmm.
Reserved for government industry use. So 50 to 300 gigahertz, government being the military, and industry being other things. Police radar, satellite TV. Now here's what's interesting, right? So here's the radio wave spectrum, right? And that's what 5G is. It's just a part of the overall spectrum of radio wave frequencies. When you pass visual light right here, this is cool too to think about, right? This is literally all we can see.
Yep, that's crazy.
That's it, man. So
crazy.
all of this right here, ultraviolet to gamma ray, damages your DNA.
Oh.
So, and everything to the left of it with a much smaller wavelength is said to not damage. It's not supposed to damage your DNA. And here's something that I thought was interesting too. You have penetrable, semi-penetrable line of sight. So you never really think about it, but things like AMA radio, broadcast television, GPS, they go through obstacles to reach their final destination, right? Things like satellite radio. You ever listened to Sirius radio?
Yeah.
And have you ever had like a cloud go in like in front of the signal, or perhaps you kind of go behind a concrete wall and all of a sudden that signal kind of goes in and out?
Yeah.
Well, it's semi-penetrable.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then 5G, like literally you have to have, it's got to be visible. It's got to be within that. It's got to be like if I'm shooting a radio wave through the tree right now in front of my window, and you're on the other side of that tree, and you're doing like 2.2 to 29 or to 2.2, 2.9 gigahertz, it's going to go through the tree, most likely. But if I'm doing 5G, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
So
it's
5G.
Like if you get a laser, like it
Yeah.
has to,
It's a really good way of saying it. Here's another interesting thing that I learned. I don't know if this is it or not. This is interesting, right? So, all right. So the Federal Communications Commission, the FCC, you heard of them, right?
Yeah.
All right. So they auction off. This is so cool, man. I never knew this, and I never even thought about it. All right. So here you have 3 kilohertz upwards to 300 gigahertz. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And the difference between those, hold on, let's see if we can figure that out. 300 gigahertz minus 3 kilohertz. I love the computer, dude. This is great. Where am I at? Oh, sure. All right. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So this whole wavelength is 299, let's just round up. It's 300 billion hertz. All right?
All right.
The Federal Communication Commissions sells every single one of those hertz for money. And they do that by things called auctions. And now you can go to fcc.gov. You can go to auction 101, and if you want to, if you're so inclined, you can go, and we'll do it in a second. You can go to auction 1. Auction, the very first auction. And do you remember, you ever heard of Sprint PCS? Do you remember that term, PCS?
Yep.
Yeah, PC. So that was auctioned off in 1994.
It's crazy.
I know. So we're 100 auctions later. Here we are. And now you can click on the PDF here, and you can open it. And let me share my whole screen. There we go. So you can open up the auction, and you can see the people who bought those hertz. Auction 101, 28 gigahertz, band auction. Auction 1, bidder payment, refund, right? So things like AT&T and Spectrum paid $1,000. Aries Wireless, upfront payment balance. Okay, so upfront payment amount, $2 million. This blew my mind, man. I didn't know that we were auctioning off, United States Cellular Corporation, $1.7 million. Down payment amount. I mean, it's crazy. I didn't know this part of the world existed.
Some of these companies spent only like 1,000.
Yeah, and I wonder like what it means. I wonder if they're buying a small amount of the spectrum. Some of the other ones are buying an enormous band.
When is the next auction? Maybe we should buy some hertz,
Dude, that's so funny you say that because let me see, watch this, dog. Actually, let's go auctions right here. All right, so the biggest auction, Darko, I'm getting you in on the top news right now. Right. Nobody knows this. The largest
You heard it here first.
You heard it here first. It's breaking. No one else knows. The biggest auction of wavelength of spectrum being sold ever in the world, in the universe, is happening in auction 103. So let's see if we can go and figure out where the heck that is, and then I'll give you a little bit of information on it.
Yeah. Let's figure out how to monetize this during this podcast. And then we can, we can use how to monetize.
Right? We could
We
sell
can
that
use
as
a
like a
title,
class.
right?
I love it. I love it. I just got to figure out how to get to it. Oh, here we go. There we go. There we go. Auction 103. Boom. Auction 103. Spectrum Frontier. Upper 37 gigahertz, 39 gigahertz, and 47 gigahertz. So in between each of those, there's a certain amount of hertz, right? And
Yep.
those are for sale. Summary. December 10th to March 5th. March 5th, 2020.
Man, we missed it.
Nah, did we?
Yes,
No. We did. All right. Auction 104.
Cancel.
Oh,
Man.
auction.
This coronavirus is just messing everything up, man.
It really is.
All right, it's
Oh,
proposed.
here we go.
All right. I like how they announce it like auction 105. It's like UFC.
I know, dude. I love it too.
239 or whatever.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. So this is 3.5 gigahertz. So let's go back and figure out what's 3.5 gigahertz. Oh, so we're talking about
Wi-Fi.
We're talking about semi-penetrable still.
Yeah, I'll take Wi-Fi and stuff, man.
Yeah.
Could probably make something out of that.
So that's interesting, right? What else I learned that I thought was pretty interesting? So the National Oceanic Association, or National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association, rather, and NASA released a memo saying a certain wavelength of 5G, specifically 24 gigahertz spectrum, could negatively impact weather forecasts, sending them back to the 80s. So NASA is a little nervous about 5G, specifically 24 gigahertz, which they just sold. Let's see, 24 gigahertz. I believe that was 102. 24 gigahertz, dog. So 24 gigahertz spectrum could negatively impact weather forecasts, and it literally just sold. So the guy that I just reached out to, just out of curiosity, Dr. Jacob Niels of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association, was in a meeting speaking to Congress in a hearing about the future of 5G and weather forecasts and implications of 24 gigahertz wavelength and how it can affect satellite data. It can affect a variety of other technologies and their ability to really interpret information. And he said, imagine Hurricane Sandy, I think it was. He's like, if we were to remodel the information that we got back, given the new information at 24 gigahertz would send us back to the 80s, and we would model that new information based on 80s models, it would have Hurricane Sandy like going back into the middle of the ocean, right? Which is the exact opposite of what happened.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, so that's something else I learned. What else did I learn? Here's the video. This is science.house.gov. The future of forecasting, building a stronger U.S. weather enterprise. So this is with the Honorable Neil Jacobs, PhD. So this is the guy I emailed yesterday. The Assistant Secretary of Commerce of Environmental Observations and Prediction, performing the duties of Undersecretary of Commerce for the NOAA. They call it NOAA, ironically. So if you want to click on it, if you want to watch him talk about all this information, this is it. It's really dry in all honesty. This is him there. So
we'll drop the link in the description, definitely.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then here's the link to the memo released by the Navy about, I think this is the Navy. Oh, no, this is Senator, no, wait, who released this? Prepared by Captain Mark Eckert, Navy, yep, right there. There's his email. Navy.mil, baby. It's awesome. So if you want to email this guy, there's his email. Yeah, but he was talking about operational impacts from potential loss of NOAA and NASA MTOC satellite data resulting from the Federal Communication Commission spectrum auction for 5G. Literally the auction that we were just talking about, around 24 gigahertz. So what was interesting to kind of, I mean, I'm learning so much about this part of the world I didn't know even existed. And you can tell how powerfully impactful the Federal Communications Commission can be on not only the economy, but potentially, you know, U.S. Imagine if you're the FCC, you sell a band of 5G, right, and it destroys the interpretability of NOAA and NASA data, rendering useless any prediction on weather forecasting and stuff. And then the next thing you know, a hurricane comes and kills half of the East Coast. Like that's a potentiality that exists. And that's something that the ECC or the FCC doesn't really take in consideration when it's selling these forms of wavelengths, you know?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Fascinating.
So I guess questions for this are, do we have, first, like, you know, do you think that we'll be able to find a way to, you know, kind of work around this and still have, you know, a similar interpretability? Sorry, I'm mispronouncing that. Or do you another question, I guess, what are, maybe we should like weigh in the like pros and cons of this, like what benefits this going to bring us, you know, having this frequency comparing to, you know,
there's a lot of alleged, let's see, here, this company, CB Insights, let's see, they let's see, here we go, I think this is it. Nope. So CB Insights wrote an article the other day that caught my attention because it had the word conspiracy in it, naturally. And they talked about all of the amazing things. Oh, here we go. Is this it? That's the one I just clicked. What the fuck is 5G? This is hilarious. You know what? I bet I can just type it in and it'll come up. Maybe this is it. All right, so they talked about, yeah, I think this might be it. They talked about all the great things that were going to change as due to 5G being introduced, right? Healthcare, manufacturing, automotive, retail, entertainment, energy, agriculture. It goes into the history. What is 5G technology? Industries being disrupted. Manufacturing. Like, what is this? AI on the edge reduces response time. I mean, it is going to be pretty crazy, dude. One of the things that I saw today while I was working, and we're not even in 5G. This is how ridiculous technology is, dude. I was live streaming a video for work with the Google Hangout, and there was an option to do captioning. captioning, closed captioning, right?
Yep.
And we're speaking extemporaneously off the cuff, just from the top of our head, and we hit closed captioning, and within seconds, every single word that this lady was saying, within a second, within a half a second, it was translating it and transcribing it onto the screen so you could read what she had just said a half a second earlier.
Yep.
All in real time. Now, if you understand what's required for that to happen, it blows your mind, because it has to go through the microphone, through the electronics, out to your internet, shooting. Actually, let's see. Let's figure this out. It'll go through the internet, through the cable. The cable runs to a tower, potentially, right? The tower shoots up to the satellite, shoots down to the other tower to where she's at. And then, so all of this is happening, and then it comes all back. It translates what she says. It puts it into words, puts it on the screen, and it happens like that. So, and we're not even on 5G. That might be 4G at best. Once 5G comes into place, you'll say something, and it'll immediately type out exactly what you're saying the exact same time you're saying it. That's how fucking crazy fast we're talking about. Light speed. And it's still mind blowing. I don't quite understand how it all works.
Yeah, I know that you can add closed captions on Zoom as well. Let me see. Where is that setting? I mean, do we really need that right now? Probably not, but
right.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's super useful. Because we can have this meeting, and then we can also just use those closed captions. I bet we can download the closed captions afterwards and just make a blog out of it too.
Exactly. 100%.
And just do some I mean, it would benefit us eventually. I mean, you're in digital marketing, you know how it works with keywords and stuff. It would help the whole process, but SEO and everything.
The potentiality for it to be used for a lot of cool stuff is there.
Yeah, but
we've never
for
done
5G, another thing that we need to think about is that other countries already have 5G. I mean, some of the other countries like China, they already have 5G, and they had it for a while. So if we don't have 5G,
you're not keeping up.
Yeah, we're not keeping up. So that's another thing to think about. I'm interested to see who else has it right now, but I know that China had it for a while now.
I heard that, and this is hearsay. I don't know if it's true, but I heard somewhere that 5G in China, specifically Wuhan, launched the exact same time the coronavirus started happening.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they had it before then too.
Yeah, probably. Here we go, live in 24 markets. Let's see. What's GSMA?
GSME?
Is it E?
Oh, GSMA, sorry. I didn't see that.
What is
the GSM stands for something.
Global satellite. That's a horrible. I don't know what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Let's see. Trying to figure out which countries. have 5G.
I
Regional
think if you scroll
authorities.
up, oh, there's something. I think that chart down there. So yeah, that says, I guess that gives you kind of the regions right there.
That's adoption by 2025.
Hey, can you scroll down real quick? Let me see something. If you scroll down a little bit more, let me see what this chart is.
All right.
Unique mobile subscribers. Actions. He has a filter. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. All right, this is what we were looking at here earlier. So this is talking about 5G is now live in 24 markets. GMSA predicts it'll be 20% of global. So that's probably what that is. That's just about the prediction. I thought that was going to give us more information on the countries. I don't know if you can see this.
Yep.
4G now accounts for half of total connection. 5G will start moving the needle in 2020. So 5G is down here. And oh, we're right here, dude. So we're not even close to 5% yet.
Yeah, crazy. It's gonna take a while.
Yeah, before we even get to 20%, it'll take us another 5 years. And a lot of that, obviously, like let's talk about. We'll talk about that in a second, because I want to break it down, because the lay person doesn't really have a freaking clue when they say the internet and stuff.
Yeah.
They're like, what?
Yeah.
It goes to space, don't it?
I mean, right now you just have like a bunch of like you really have like only like early adopters. I feel like they know a lot about this stuff. We just need to, I mean, I want to understand exactly like what are the specific benefits.
Yeah. Oh, dude, the Internet of Things is going to be one of the biggest beneficiaries of 5G technology.
Definitely, yeah.
You know, the ability to see basically anything you want, whenever you want, in your house. All of those like smart applications and smart fridges and all that stuff.
I've heard like that you can, just go through different, like if you walk through the city, and there's like ad banners and stuff, like digital ad banners, and everything changes as you walk with your phone because they're targeting you specifically.
Yeah, exactly. It gets down to the individual. Yeah.
Imagine that. Imagine how marketing is going to change.
It's going to just get even more granular.
Yep.
You know, they're going to know exactly who you are. Here's the scary thing, right? What websites you visit, where you go, how long you're on those websites, what those websites mean. It's going to get extreme. Here, I said this tonight because I was thinking about this. Like, at what point does online data just become free for public use, right?
Yep.
Because there's softwares out there called scrapers. Have you heard of those?
Yep.
Yeah, there's softwares out there right now that exist that if I want to go scrape data from a website,
yep,
donezo.
You can do it.
Yep.
It's crazy.
It is.
I mean, yeah, you just need to be careful, like what websites you're visiting, what you're doing on internet. It's crazy. Like everything that you do on internet, like it gets documented somewhere.
Yeah.
Because what's happening, like in your computer, what's happening, like that information is stored physically somewhere. Like it's possible to get to that information even that if that information is deleted. There is a way to get to that information later on. So it's always going to be available. Now, how easily available, that's a different thing. But it seems like, it's going to become more and more easily available. And yeah, I think it will become like our behavior, like our internet behavior, which is becoming more and more important, right? Because the internet is just becoming a bigger and bigger part of our lives, right?
Yeah.
It's becoming very important to, when industries like digital marketing, you look at the behavior of these, consumers, these people, social media, we look what they do, what they view, and people think that social media is free, but very well, if you're not paying for something, that means that you're the product.
That's a good quote, man. That's a really good quote.
I picked that up somewhere, but it's so true.
That's hilarious. If you're not paying for something, you're the product.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because you are,
Yeah, no, I never heard of it that way, but that's 100% right. Yeah. People didn't think Facebook data was that valuable. Yeah. Zuckerberg did. Zuckerberg knew what he was doing.
Oh, he's, it's crazy how big of a visionary you need to be in order to, foresee that.
Do you think he knew what he was doing from the very get-go? Or do you think it evolved?
I have no. It probably involved. He probably had one vision, but this just got out of hand. Like, he probably evolved way past what he thought it would be. I have no idea, but crazy.
Yeah, it's definitely. Oh, this is him, dude. This is the guy that report I just had open.
Yeah.
From the Navy guy. This is him.
Yeah.
The dude looks like he's a wizard.
Yeah.
Doesn't he? The dude looks like
he looks like he would be played by John Malkovich in a movie.
He looks. He does. He does, and he also looks like the guy Jim Carrey played in Unfortunate Events.
A little bit, yeah. He looks a little bit better than that. You got to give him some credit. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
I hope he doesn't see this video.
I hope he does. I hope he goes. He figures out who I am.
We'll tag him, and then we'll see what. Yeah. You'll just have some guy from the Navy just hunting you down.
That'd be awesome. Hit me up, Dr. Eckert. I'd love to speak with you. That'd be hilarious. Yeah. So, all right. So, what I wanted to do to kind of like disassemble this a little bit was, this, right? You've seen the map.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Of the underground cables.
Yep. Isn't that crazy? Like it goes under the freaking ocean.
Yeah. So people who don't know, and I think most people do by now, right? 5-6 years ago, this was something when you said the internet, people literally thought a signal went to space and came down.
Yeah, up the cables. Yep.
Yeah, and that's not what's happening. What's happening is it's going through the wire. It's going all the way through those underground coaxial cables, whatever. It's going potentially to a tower, and then that tower is passing it to another tower. It's passing it to another tower, passing it to another tower, passing it to another tower, to where it gets to probably another coast. Once it goes to a coast, it then goes into the water, goes across the ocean, goes to London, comes back, goes. Dude, like, you have to wrap your mind around how big of an undertaking this must have been when back in the day, the military guys like, we're doing Morse code, and we're doing it, nationally, coast to coast, maybe. That's how it started.
It's crazy. If you just think about it, like, I think that out of all things, the biggest thing that changed, like in the last 100 years, in humanity, is the communication. Yeah. Like, that's the thing that improved the most. Yeah. Like we used to think like we're gonna have flying cars and all of that. Well, this is like, we never thought that we would be able to communicate this efficiently. In my opinion, like, this is like even a communication sense, it's way past, any flying cars, in a communication sense.
Oh yeah.
Which, I honestly don't believe that we're going to have flying cars anytime soon, because imagine how hard it would be to regulate that. Anyway, I don't want to go off the rails here, but
Yeah,
we
that's a
can
fun
we can
conversation
we can
another
pick
day.
that conversation up for some other day.
Yeah. But look, dude, it's just if you would have, these are some great men, dude. That's literally all you can say. There are some brilliant, great men who exist among us, and they don't get any credit. All right, this is where we are, somewhere around here, right? North Carolina. Some dude at one point was like, well, why don't we run a cable from McLean, Virginia, all the way across the Atlantic to wherever the hell this is in Spain? Bilbao, Spain. Bilbao, Spain. So there's a cable that runs all the way to Bilbao, Spain. There's thousands and thousands of miles of cable. And then the question that follows that is, okay, well, where did they get the cable? Who manufactures the cable? Who mines the minerals to develop the cable? All of these systems had to be in place in order for us to organize an idea that was actually a possibility.
It's crazy what we can do, man.
It's awesome, man. It is so cool. What is this island? Spitsbergen. Spitsbergen Edge Island.
Let's see what's the price of okay, first, can you buy a house over there? Let's see what's the price of property over there.
Spitsbergen real estate. So it looks like it might be a
living on Svalbard, or is this Svalbard?
Spitsbergen.
Oh, dude, I would definitely have one of those dog sleds.
How gorgeous is this? Look at that. That's all just snow. It's so cool. Oh, remember her, Darko? Ex-girlfriend.
That looks like that character from Frozen. Those characters, those forest characters.
That's right. It does. That's crazy. Yeah, man. This is cool stuff. There's just too many interesting things to really truly know. Like if you're gonna know something, truly know something, you got to specialize in it because it's just so much.
You have to be the expert, right?
Exactly. I mean, there's that. What's the saying? You can be a jack of all trades or an expert of none.
Yeah.
And I feel like you have to have a little bit of both in this generation.
I think that so I feel like so there's a reason why I disagree with that whole thing. I mean, there are some sayings that we say that literally make zero sense. Like you know how they say for New York, like if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere.
Yeah.
But that's opposite. If you can make it in New York, you probably can't make it anywhere. I mean, it's like it's the easiest to make it over there, right? Comparing to try making it, in Zambia or somewhere. I mean, I'm just making up like Dagestan or something.
Yeah, right. Gonna be a goat herder in Dagestan. Yes. Good luck, bro.
If you're lucky,
Yeah.
But yeah, so gosh, what was my point with that? I think that, so I read this book that was an awesome book, and I read it like a couple of years ago, and it's called like Micromastery, something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But they're talking about polymaths, and they're talking about this.
Know about a lot of things.
Yeah, that are like micromasters. Like they are masters in multiple different things, and you'll be surprised how many Nobel award winners are micromasters.
Yeah.
Like these people have skills in completely different fields.
Yep.
Like all of a sudden you have a guy that he has a Nobel Prize in physics, but he's also a painter. He's a fencer. He has all these different skills, and
He's got a hunger and a curiosity for life, man.
but he's a master. He mastered those skills.
You heard
He's
Charlie
not like
Munger, right?
it's not like sorry.
Go ahead.
But yeah, if you if you it's not like I mean I can play guitar, but I'm not a master at it.
Yeah.
I feel like you need to spend a certain amount of hours, and also need to learn a couple of tricks, in order to become a master guitar player. But what these people are able to do, he knows how to paint, he knows how to do this, he knows how to do that. He connects those things in a way that no one else thought about.
Yeah.
That's how you see some of those designs. They look like, wow, how could someone think about this? They probably were mastered in a couple different areas, and they were able to connect the dots. They had both the creativity and knowledge, and it's very common. This book I highly recommend it, and they actually help you learn how to kickstart some of the skills. For example, how to become an expert bread maker, how to become a fencer, and all these different things. There's 30 different micromasters that you can pick up pretty quickly. If you want to play soccer right now and you have no idea how to play soccer, they give you a couple pointers, what you should learn first, because you want to make it fun first, and for that you need to learn a couple of tricks. And the more fun you make it, the more likely you are about to get into that. How do you call that? There's another book about that. Is it a Polish guy that wrote that book about flow?
Yes.
Mikhail something. It has a very interesting last name. I can't pronounce it. I can't remember. Yeah, something like that. But yeah, that state of flow is everything. If you can get into that, if you're doing the tasks that are challenging enough but not too easy, no, that are not too easy, but gosh, what am I trying to say? That are easy enough but also challenging enough. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
I've been ranting for too long. That's the goal of this book. This book is awesome.
Yeah, this is about flow state, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and the psychology of optimal experience and flow state, to kind of sum it up, when you're doing something where you're my wife will see me get into this every once in a while I'm working, and I'm like, babe, I can't stop. I'm in the flow of things. And basically, you've hit a certain wavelength of energy and focus and attention and acuity to where you're not necessarily having to think about what you're doing, but it's just coming to you and flowing from you.
You spent 5 or 6 hours and it felt like nothing.
Exactly.
Not necessarily 5 or 6 hours, but that happened to me a couple of times. If I was interested in something, it's wow, it's already 2 a.m. It's like that.
Exactly.
Instead of sometimes just going through the day. Yeah.
No, these are good, and it's hard to find the flow and to stay in it, for sure. One of the things that people are curious, here's a story or a TED talk from Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, where he talks about flow and the secret to happiness. Have you heard of something called lattice work by Charlie Munger?
That sounds very familiar. Tell me more.
It's very similar to what you're talking about, but it's more so about how polymaths take a multidisciplinary approach to a lot of things. They try to learn as much about a lot of things as they can. And what that allows them to do you know what lattice is? For those who don't know what lattice is, it's like a fence.
Yeah.
and it looks like this.
Oh, so they connect those things.
You got it, dude. And that's exactly what you were talking about earlier. Once you learn all of these things, you're able to connect certain dots that other people wouldn't be able to connect because you're seeing what you're looking at from a variety of perspectives.
Exactly.
And that's called lattice work. It's a mental model by Charlie Munger. And Charlie Munger is the partner. He's like the sidekick of Warren Buffett. And Warren Buffett being the billionaire, of course. And this is a little bit of, we'll put this, I'll send this to you, Darko, and we'll put this up on the link for people who are interested in checking it out. It's a little infographic that kind of goes into it. It's definitely interesting and fun to think about. And again, Charlie Munger or whatever you say his name is. But yeah, I mean, and so back to our earlier point, there is something to be said about being specialized in a certain area, but also being able to have the curiosity and hunger to learn a lot about a lot of different things, because it all helps.
Munger. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. It is crazy, dude. And it's getting late, but there's just so many fun things to talk about.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we started our podcast a little bit later tonight. Yeah. No, that was super interesting. So
do you work tomorrow, by the way?
No, are you working?
No, we're off, but I'll probably end up working for a little bit.
Yeah. Do something definitely. Have you ever thought about the fact that we decided that North Pole is North Pole and South Pole is South Pole? Like this could have easily it could have easily been the other way around, right?
Yeah.
And
I would imagine, right?
Yeah, we could have just flipped the Earth.
Like, how would they know?
That's the thing. Who decided this?
Well, how old is the globe? Do you know that question?
No.
Because that's an even funner question.
How old is the globe? Oh, the globe, like the globe. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, let's see. Oh, well, duh, 4.5 billion years.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were asking at first.
No. The concept of the globe, because you have to think about this, dude. People, there are images of modern day Earth as close as you can get to it, right? The continents look pretty similar, right? You got Africa, Saudi Arabia, India, Australia, big ass Pacific Ocean, which really is big, and then U.S. And you have the shapes, and then you have globes that date back to like maybe the 1400s. Let's find out. So the question is, how do they know? We weren't able, allegedly, to fly up high enough until 1969 to find out what it looked like. So they had to use, what do they call them? Surveyors to, I would assume, I don't know how they really did this, to go around the continents and figure out the shapes and the size, allegedly.
Yeah. Well, I feel like some people were smart enough to figure it out. They figured out that it is, round. I guess it's a good point. Like, is it a globe? But I assume, since Magellan, since he, circled the Earth, I feel like they were pretty, sure. Yeah, this is, it's a globe. But I guess it could be, there's also other shapes that you would be able to wrap around it. I don't know. I feel like they knew it was a globe because there were smart people was it Galileo, right? That kind of started this whole thing, and he said, like, if you look at the ship from the shore, you'll see the ship disappear as you look, as you look in the distance, as it goes away in the distance, and it disappears because it's a globe. It wouldn't necessarily disappear. I guess it would
flat Earth.
disappear. Yeah, it would disappear
Yeah.
from the side, but it wouldn't disappear like it disappeared. They were able to make calculations and stuff back then. Imagine how much more focused people were back then.
Oh, they
Like
didn't have
today,
games.
with like, with you have social media, you have TV, you have all these things. Over there, like, you just focus on that one thing.
It really, that's so
That
true,
was
dude.
the interesting thing, People were happy to go to school,
Yeah.
So funny.
It's one of those things. So I guess 1492, from what I can tell so far, was the first globe. It was produced by Martin Bayham, also known as Martin von Bayham. He was a German textile merchant. That makes no sense. Oh, and a cartographer. Okay. I was like, what's this?
Talking about micromastery,
Yeah,
He was a
exactly.
polymath,
He's putting together clothes. And he's like, oh, I know what the Earth looks like. You're like, what? How? You take it around, you take it. But look how raw and crude the shape of, you can't really tell. Like, this is his best. See, that's the thing. People don't get it, man. People don't get it. When we were drawing out. All right, so the very first. Here's the story, and I don't know if you know this. The very first story about how people came about thinking it was a globe was a story having to do back with a philosopher and somebody in Egypt. And let me see if I can remember his name. And what he said that he did was here we go. The stick shadow. I don't know if I believe it. This is nuts, dude. They say back in the day, thousands of years ago, this dude he put a stick in the ground, and then he had a buddy of his 500 miles north, right? Dude, people are such dummies. They don't get this. So let's say I'm in Egypt, and let's say you're in Turkey, and I put a stick in the ground, and I'm trying to figure out if the Earth is curved. And so I look at the shadow that the sun is casting on the stick, right? And that shadow is different than the shadow that you have in the same place where you're at, and the sun's up here.
Yeah.
So my skeptical question is, they didn't have cell phones, and they were 500 miles away from each other. How the hell do they know if the shadows were perfectly different and aligned? There's a video on this, and I know I'm
like
not
sending pigeons and stuff, tweeting.
Yeah, it's crazy. So that was forever ago. I wish I could figure out this dude's name, because but that was the first story. That was really what gave them an argument. The ancient Greeks. And the sticks, here we go, found the shadows were different because the Earth was curved. And so the sticks were at different angles, or the shadow of the sticks were at different angles. But again, they're 500 miles apart. So it's like, what? What the fuck do you know? And they both did it at noon, at 12 in the afternoon, allegedly, right? Because I don't think watches existed yet. Not until probably the 1600s did a mechanical watch get created. So you're just assuming. Dude, think about how crude of an experiment this is. This dude's sticking a stick in the ground. And trying to figure out the shadow of it. But so from that, the very first idea, probably, right? Perhaps, that the Earth was global, was a round globe, was created or at least started to become more popular and took root in popular culture. And then from there, you have people who are cartographers and they're sailing across the ocean, doing their best to try to figure out the shapes of the continents, and then trying to piece them all together and then overlay that on a perfect ball. And it's madness. And they did that, Darko. They did that from 1400s all the way up. They did it for 500 years. So for 500 years, they were circulating this idea. And it wasn't until 1969 that we had the technology to actually go high enough to actually see what we have been teaching for 500 years was true or not. So imagine getting all the way up there, you know, if you were to play alternative fiction, and then looking down and be like, oh, it's different.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing to consider.
Yeah. No, I mean, that would be crazy, but yeah, I'm sure. I mean, it's hard. Like, you know, I think that, so, you know, if you think about all these stories, like some of these stories are just too old. Like, you know, and they were passing these stories, you know, like we have saying they were passing these stories knee to knee, you know, and people, especially, I mean, how old was like the ancient Egypt empire? That could have happened like 4,000 years ago. So that story is 4,000 years old. You know, I bet like there were some details, or there was, you know, or some, maybe, you know, someone just made a story up 1,000 years ago and just started saying, oh, in Egypt they figured this out 3,000 years ago. But yeah, like,
it's interesting.
Like that comedian.
Eratosthenes was his name. I just figured out his name. Sorry, go ahead.
No, like, I don't know about Egypt. Like, they didn't figure out. You know that comedian guy that was talking about how he doesn't believe that Egyptians built pyramids.
A comedian or who?
It was a comedian. Yeah, he doesn't believe that the Egyptians
Oh,
built
yeah,
pyramids because
yeah.
they haven't really done anything since then. You know.
Yeah, Andrew Schultz.
Yeah, but that guy is hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that joke. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's an interesting thing to think about, but it's more interesting to think of.
I think I lost you. Ben? I think that maybe his phone died or something. Let's put this on pause for a second. And we're back. Sorry, because of that.
My phone died.
We had some.
Sorry about that.
It happens.
We're
But yeah.
upgrading. Eventually.
No, yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that. No, that was a good episode. I think.
For sure.
We went through a lot of 5G stuff, which was good. We know how to you know, buy frequencies right now. So that will be the title of this podcast, definitely.
Yeah.
And yeah, talked a little bit about micromastery and Earth and Andrew Schultz. So that's good. Yeah.
Not bad. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
There is a lot I want to talk about, but
or do you want to call it quits and come back later?
I'm getting tired. I think that I think that we will continue this on Saturday, which is in 2 days.
Perfect.
And there is a couple of topics I wanted to bring up. I wanted to show you this specifically, this military auction. And yeah, next episode will be about you know, how to buy you know, an H1 Hummer. And yeah, the auction starts at like $5,000 for an H1 Hummer. So yeah.
Dude, you know what? We should pool our what do they call that? The PPP money that we're gonna be getting from the government.
Yeah, let's do
buy
it.
a Hummer.
You can either buy a Hummer or we can buy a
Podcast
Tiger.
material. A Tiger.
Yeah. Apparently, yeah. That's what I learned from that the Tiger King show. You can actually buy a Tiger for that much money.
Dude, if anybody had a Tiger, it would be you. Sure.
I would not have a tiger, dude. I mean, I have a freaking cat. That's my cat got arrested. I can't handle a cat.
That's true.
Yeah, I can't understand people that have tigers. Like, yeah, it's just crazy.
Hilarious.
There's like 0% chance that. I mean, there's a very, very small chance that you're not going to be attacked by that animal, at least once in your life.
Yeah.
And sometimes my cat attacks me, and it hurts. Now imagine being attacked by a tiger. I think the tigers can, if they can like lick your skin off. Like that's how like coarse their tongue is.
Really?
Like, yeah. If they like lick your skin, they would like, basically your skin would like just scrape off. But it's crazy.
Jeez.
But imagine, tiger. They're so like the scariest thing is they're agile. Like they're huge, powerful animals, but they're agile too. Like they move like house cats. And you know how you have Gata. You know how Gata moves. If she hears food or something.
Oh yeah, totally.
Like in a second you're dead.
Oh yeah.
If you have.
Good luck trying to catch them because they're impossible to catch.
Like imagine having a 400-pound Gata.
Golly, dude, that would be kind of cool actually. As
Yeah.
long as she was nice to me, like Gata is.
Yeah, but I feel like once they get to a certain size, like they don't need to be nice to us anymore.
It's true.
You become food after a certain, after they reach a certain size. Or
it's deep, actually.
I don't know. It's a topic for another day, definitely.
I agree.
But yeah,
I agree.
Well, guys, thank you again. It was thank you for listening, and
episode 3, baby.
Yeah, exactly. If you listen this far, thank you for listening, and we'll be back again.
All right, man. Another episode of Quarantiners. Talk to you later, Darko.
Bye-bye.